Pesachim Daf. Today's email comes to us from R Eli from Lakewood. He says he's realizing just how small the world is. Yesterday marked the 1 year yahrzeit of his father, Zechron Levracha, and during Shiva, two people that came to be Menachem Avel stood out. One of them was Larry Pearl, and the second one was Yeshua Ehrenpreis. Before Yeshua Ehrenpreis got up to leave, Yeshua gave him a card that said 8 Min Daf. He says, I don't need this. I'm a Magid Shir. I already learned Shas 4 times. I give a Shir in Bavli. In Yerushalmi, he says, I don't need it. Yeshua was persistent, and so he took the card and he looked it up, and he says, I've not missed a Shir even one day since meeting Yehoshua. And secondly, he found out that his mother's cousin, Larry Pearl, is also a member of the Shir. And today, this morning, when I announced that Larry Pearl had a stroke and he's in the hospital, it touched a very raw nerve. So he's asking the Olam if they could please daven for Elazar Chaim and Chayesara, who's a very devoted member of the Shir. We all wish him a refuah shlema. Uri, fine, thank you. The Gemara tells us very interesting halachas that are negel l'maisa today. But starting off with behemas arnona, that is, if the rulers of the time, they take, let's say, 10% of all your produce, are they considered as if they are partners in your produce? So if you have animals and you have a non-Jewish partner, you're patur from b'char. So the Gemara says, according to one lashon, if you could get rid of this ruler just by paying him cash instead of giving an animal, then he's not considered a true partner, and you're chayiv. But if you cannot get rid of him, if he insists on having part of the animal, then he's a true partner, and you're patur in the b'chayra. The second lashon of the Gemara is, even if you can get rid of him with money, but right now he's your partner, so right now you are patur from b'char. But when it comes to the dough, that you have to give part of it to the ruler, dough is different. Since no one realizes that you have to give it to the ruler, they don't see you giving anything, it doesn't have a coil, so therefore you must give challah. Even though typically challah that has a partnership with a non-Jew, you're patur from it, from challah, from the dough. But this dough, no one knows that you have a partner or a non-Jew, therefore you have to give challah. If a non-Jew brings chametz into your chatzar, you're not mechuyev to get rid of the non-Jew. But if the non-Jew deposits it by you, he gives you a pikadon, and it has achrayus, you took responsibility that if it gets lost, stolen, you'll pay him back. So then it's included in the isser of lo yimatzeh. You shouldn't find anything, and that's considered it's yours. If you designated a house for the non-Jew without achrayus, then it's not yours. You're not chayiv in beer. Rav Ashi says, although when it comes to the isser of having avodah zarah in your own house, you rent a house to a guy, you have to make sure he doesn't put avodah zarah in it, even though you rented it to him. So when it comes to avodah zarah, it's considered the landlord's, but when it comes to chametz, it's not, because lo yimatzeh means it has to be in your possession that you have access to it, and since you don't have access to it, it's in the guy's possession, you're not chayiv on lo yimatzeh. What do you do, says Rav, if it happens occasionally, you find chametz on yantiv. Now chametz itself is muktzah. You can't touch it. To be over, you're not over on lo yimatzeh because you mevatel it with your heart. It's already hefker. The issue is you might come to eat it. So cover it with a pot or something. However, if this chametz does not belong to you, it belongs to the Beis Hamikdash, it's hegdish, people are careful from hegdish and you don't have to cover it. If you have a guy that left chametz in your house without any responsibility on your part, all you need to do is build a wall that's 10 tfachim. So don't go there. But for hegdish, you don't have to build the wall because you're going to be careful not to eat it anyway. What if you're traveling before Yontif? Says Rav, if you're leaving your house more than 30 days before Pesach, you don't have to do bir chametz. Less than 30 days, you have to do bir chametz. What's the 30 days? Says the Gemara, it has to do with darshan b'hilchas chag, shleishim yom kodem chag. They start giving drushes about hilchas Pesach 30 days before Yontif. How do we know? Because Moshe Rabbeinu spoke about Pesach Sheni, which is 30 days ahead, on the first Pesach. Says Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, that's different. Moshe Rabbeinu is already talking about Hilchas Pesach, so he spoke about the second Pesach. Typically, you don't have to do 30 days. 2 weeks is enough. Where did he get 2 weeks? He got 2 weeks from Pikudim. He spoke in the second year after they left Mitzrayim. It was 2 weeks before Pesach. It was on Rosh Chodesh. So Abaye explains Rav, and he says what Rav meant to say is it's only if a person intends to come back he left within 30 days of Pesach, and he intends to come back before Pesach, he has to do beer. But if he has no intention of coming back, then there's no chiyuv of beer chametz. Rava says no. If he has intent to come back, then there's no limit. Even if he left in Rosh Hashanah, he has to do beer chametz. Even if he has no intent to come back, he's chayiv to be mevar chametz if it's within 30 days, unless he left before 30 days. Same thing applies. Rava is l'shitasai. If a person takes his own house and he makes it into a storehouse for wheat, in other words, he piles wheat above his chametz. So within 30 days of Pesach, he's mechuyev to do beer. But if it's more than 30 days, it depends whether or not he intends on emptying his storehouse. Why is it that Parshas Bikudim that happened in the second month before Pesach is before Pesach? Why is it in the Torah? It's not in chronological order. Says Rav, there's no chronological order in the Torah. Ein mukdam u'muchar b'Torah. Explains Rav Papa. That's only when it's two separate concepts. There's no mukdam, but within the same concept, we are forced to say that there's mukdam and muchar. Otherwise, says Rav Papa, we wouldn't have the concept of klal uprat, which is different than a prat uklal, because then you could say every klal uprat is really a prat uklal. There's no mukdam and muchar. Rav says, why do you have to do bdika? If you're doing bittul, you're getting rid of the chametz, it's hefker. Why do you need to do bdika? Says Rav, we are concerned you're going to find a glazed donut, a gluska yafa, something delicious on Yontif. Now, why can't you just be mevatel it then and there? Because it's not yours. There are two things, says the Gemara, that are not really yours, but the Torah put them in your possession so that you're chayiv for the Aveira. One of them is if you make a pit in Milbush's Rabbim. The second one is chametz on Pesach. So they were misaken that you should do bittul the night of Bigas chametz. Why? Because you're doing something and you'll remember to do the bittul. The following day you're not doing anything, you might forget. But you don't have to be mevatel because of the different crumbs that you have, and you're keeping the crumbs, you want the crumbs, because the bottom line is, when it comes to sufi ta'inim, you have different figs that you don't really want, and you're watching the field. Well, it depends if you care about those figs or not. Since crumbs you don't care about, so there's no reason to be mevatel it. Have a wonderful day.